It is Friday, November 10th. I'm Mark Stewart, and I want to address a question engendered by last Friday's talk. It was whether I support Black Lives Matter. Answer, I absolutely support their goals. I urge everyone to be wary of the tactics that the leaders of Black Lives Matter invoke. In the end, they could very well hurt the very things that they would like. Hear me out. When your leaders call anyone who might say something objectionable racist, they lose cred. Yeah, they get attention, and it's really powerful, which is unfortunate. You can't curtail debate. When their leaders shut down free speech, which they have done, they lose cred, at least with reasonable people. Yes, they get emotional power, and unfortunately that's gotten some media attention. They could have gotten media attention in other ways and upheld themselves. They've lost a lot of people already. They haven't lost me, okay? I'm not a racist. I have the goals that they have in mind. But when you brand people who speak their minds, hopefully backed up with evidence, or even worse, you don't even let them speak because they're coming from a different background that can't be understood unless you're one of us, unless you're black. Well, then don't even have a conversation, okay? If a suburban white guy you think can't possibly empathize with an urban African American, then there's no discussion. Okay? So many of us suburban whites want to uplift the cause of African Americans. My first employee was black. The young man I admired most in high school, Joe, African American. My first manager of a business, African American or possibly mixed race. My first business partner, African American. There's not a racist bone in my activity. If you want to interpret something with lenses that are colored, then you end up hurting your own cause with people like me. Please also recognize that what people do is probably more important than what they say. There was, she's dead now, an owner of the Cincinnati Reds baseball team. She was a racist, but she employed African Americans. At least 25% of her team was black. Why? Because they were the best athletes. They were the ones who were going to lead the team for better success. And so the economics didn't stand in the way of her ultimately doing good for them and for the fans. There's a guy who had to sell his basketball team, Donald Sterling. He was anything but Sterling. He was a racist too. But you know what? 2/3 of his basketball team were African Americans. They were paid on average $3 million a year at the time he was forced to sell. So Donald Sterling, for all his racist thoughts and occasional expressions overtly of those thoughts, may not have harmed a single African American. Please look at what is harmful rather than innuendo. Blacks right now in the United States have at least the same status as everybody else, and in some ways a bit higher status thanks to race-based privileges. Okay? There is not institutionalized racism in this country. There are a few crackers still. Okay? There are a few elements within government forces that ought to be rooted out. But please don't condemn the institution that is better for minorities than any place on the planet. Now, blacks' condition might not yet be as good. There are pockets of trouble. But don't blame racists for things that might be mostly self-imposed. It's not racists who go around impregnating young girls and leaving them fatherless, as happens very frequently in inner cities. It's not racists who set up an education system that leaves young blacks with less ability to compete in the workplace. Their education system is lousy. They're not open to choice. That is not the work of racists. Before you condemn, please look at what good people who might have a different skin color do for your groups. And please be open to working with us. Look forward to seeing some of you today in New Britain, tomorrow at the Veterans Day event in Rocky Hill. And to those veterans, I greatly appreciate your service. May God bless you and your service.